Why are tens of thousands of high net worth individuals leaving Europe every single year, and this number is not looking like it's slowing down, it's actually only accelerating year on year. Just the UK alone saw a net loss of around 10,000 millionaires in 2024, and this number is going to be way higher in 2025 and 2026. But also other Western nations like Germany, Spain, and France are seeing net outflows of millionaires year on year. But again, the real question is why? Why are all these businessmen, entrepreneurs, and investors leaving Europe, which is such an amazing continent with amazing geographical attributes? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about it as someone who actually have left Europe over 2 years ago at this point. I relocated from Hungary to the UAE, more specifically Dubai, and not gonna lie, since I've done the relocation, I would say overall I'm a lot happier. I've been able to multiply my net worth, grow my businesses, meet a lot of amazing new people, and overall just build a life and a lifestyle that I'm really happy and satisfied with. In my opinion, the first place we should look to answer this question is actually the downfall of the West. It doesn't matter where you really look. In most Western European countries, or even Canada or Australia, right, more and more taxes are being introduced every single year, and a lot of those are actually affecting wealthy or rich entrepreneurs, which is eventually getting them to a point where it's no longer worth it for them to be in that country because they are getting taxed at such a high rate. And simultaneously, the cost of living is also rising, right? Which might affect more so the average person than someone who's making 500,000, a million, 5 million a year as an entrepreneur. But still, regardless of that, with both of these two things rising at the same time, I think a lot of people are just getting to that point where they are wondering if it's even worth it to stay in the same place. And also all the different and complex problems that are happening in the West at the same time are not looking very good, in the sense that there isn't really a clear path that people are seeing on how these issues are going to be addressed and how they are going to be solved. So I think that's starting to leave a lot of people kind of hopeless about the future of Europe, maybe even Canada, Australia, and a lot of these Western countries. Then aside from the rising taxes and rising cost of living, there is also declining safety at the same time in most major cities in these countries, right? So if you are, let's say, a wealthy or a high net worth individual, then it's no longer safe to just walk outside in most major cities in Western countries with a nice watch on or a nice outfit on, or even if you're driving a nice car. There is so many cases of people getting their windshield smashed, their cars destroyed for no reason, them being robbed, even held at gunpoint, or even killed for a freaking watch, right? Like, it's absolutely insane. And I think that's another huge reason on why more and more high net worth individuals are leaving. But there is also a bunch of other even more complex problems happening at the same time, like immigration, also political division, right? So people are more divided now than ever. Everybody's hating on each other. Everybody's trying to bring each other down. The privacy is declining. The EU is introducing some absolutely insane laws where basically you are going to be losing all of your anonymity and privacy even when using the internet. On top of all of this, you have a failing healthcare and education system in most Western countries. Bureaucracy and the complexity of running a business in Europe is absolutely insane. It's harder and harder to register a business and to actually run it and be compliant with all the different regulations out there. And in general, being ambitious is kind of looked down upon in a lot of these countries. If you are someone who's very motivated, someone who wants to build something big, a lot of people are going to try to drag you down, and it's not going to be a super supporting environment in most cases that will actually assist you to reaching your goals. But where are all these people actually going? Well, the number one country on the list by far is the UAE, and that's where I'm at right now as well. Why are people actually relocating to the UAE, and more specifically, most people go to Dubai? Well, it's a couple of things. First of all, it's actually quite a smooth process if you work with the right people. For example, I run a company as well called Peak Zone, where we help entrepreneurs from Europe and all over the world as well to open a company here, get residency, get business and and personal bank accounts as well, find an apartment, and basically everything that comes with relocating countries. And we can do this entire process in most cases under 30 days from start to finish, which is just infinitely faster and easier than other countries you could relocate to. But on top of this, there is plenty of benefits. Obviously, one of them being the tax savings. So the UAE has super low taxes. You only have a 9% corporate tax if you are doing, over 100k profit. So all your profits over 100k get taxed at 9%. But now there's still a small business relief program as well, where if you're making under $800,000 in revenue with your business, you can get exempt from corporate taxes completely for now. There is no income tax, there is no dividend tax, there's no wealth tax, inheritance tax, nothing like that. It's only this corporate tax, and even that can be reduced highly if you have someone good helping you with your tax strategy planning. On top of this, the network here is amazing, especially if you are maybe a younger entrepreneur, or you are running some sort of online business, or you have some sort of high-paying remote job. There is incredible amount of people in here as well who are doing the same thing as you at the highest levels. If you are in e-commerce, you are going to meet people who are doing millions and millions of dollars a month. If you're in coaching, again, you can meet people doing millions and millions a year in profit doing coaching. If you are building a SaaS company, ton of SaaS founders here, ton of crypto guys. Like in all industries which are online, there's an insane amount of people that you could connect with, network with, become friends with, and even learn from or do business together. The culture is also completely different here. People celebrate success. People celebrate if someone's more ambitious and wants to build something amazing with their life. And that is not really the case in most of Europe or even Canada or Australia, right? I know in Australia there's this thing called the tall puppy syndrome. I believe it's from Australia, where people basically look at you like you are some alien if you're trying to build something bigger than what most people built in your little town or city, and they try to bring you down. That is not the case here at all. In fact, most people you meet are going to be congratulating you on everything you've done so far and trying to find ways to help you so that you guys can work together and grow your businesses together to the next level. Also, Dubai and the UAE in general is insanely convenient. It's insanely safe. There is great cleanliness in most places. So in general, it's an amazing environment if you are trying to be somewhere that is very safe and somewhere where day-to-day life tasks are not going to be a big hassle, right? There is a ton of services which are very high quality for ordering food, getting a cleaner, getting a driver or a taxi, getting a maid. Like there is a lot of these services available at actually very affordable prices for Western people, right? Which will make your life a lot easier so you can actually focus on what matters to you, which is probably your family and your business. And there's also endless activities you could do here. You could go jet skiing, you could go on a nice boat, you could go to the desert and ride some buggies, you could go to a nice restaurant with your friends. Like there is endless things you could do in the city, and there is going to be probably more activities that you get invited to than you actually have the time for. Now, these are just a couple of things that I really enjoy about Dubai, and a lot of other people do as well. But you might be wondering, well, what are the downsides? What are the negatives? Because there surely must be some. And I would agree with you, right? There is no perfect place in the world. There is no country or city that is going to be just 10 out of 10 on every single metric. Some of the downsides to the UAE, and more specifically Dubai, might be the higher cost of living if you are not from a major city, from a Western country. If you are from London, or if you are from Munich or any of the bigger cities in Europe, or if you're from, Canada, Toronto maybe, then compared to those cities, it's actually going to be a lot cheaper to live here. But if you are from just a random small town in Poland, then it's going to be a lot more expensive here compared to that. But in return for that, obviously you're saving a lot of money on taxes. Also, it does get quite hot for the summer. For around 3 to 4 months of the year, it's super hot outside. It's like 45 degrees Celsius, and it's not a pleasant time to be outside for long periods of time. So what most online entrepreneurs do is they just leave for Europe for the entire summer pretty much, and they come back when the weather gets nice again. That's exactly what I do as well. And if you are living this lifestyle where you are here for the winter, so to say, let's say from the end of September, and then you leave after around May, then you can have this great balance where you are in Europe for the summer when the weather is the best there, and you are here in the UAE for the winter when the weather is the best here. Another downside is that the air quality gets pretty bad here. So especially if it's like a humid day with no wind, the air quality does get quite bad. I mean, most major cities do have this problem, but Dubai especially has this. So that is something you definitely want to keep in mind. It's not the best city for running outside for super long hours, especially during those days when the air pollution is quite high. And to be honest, there's probably a lot of other like small things you can find which you might not like. But at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to a personal decision, and you need to weigh the pros and the cons for yourself. For me, the pros outweigh the cons 10 times over. So for me, it was not even a question whether I wanted to move here or not. Like the first time I came to the city 4 years ago, I immediately knew I wanted to spend some part of my life here at some point, right? And I managed to make that move, and I managed to make that decision very early on. Also, the geographical location of the UAE is actually quite amazing because you can reach most countries with like a 3 to 5 hour long direct flight, and there are some of the best airlines in the entire world here available to you. Another thing that I personally do really like, especially comparing it to Hungary, is that politics are not really a thing here, right? Like there is no election cycles here, so you don't hear all the bullshit politics from every single person around you from the news. There's just not this like atmosphere of negativity all the time where one side is throwing stones at the other side and the other side does the same thing. Like there is just none of that. There is no noise here. There is no chaos. It's just peaceful, and I would say it's like how it should be everywhere else as well. So I would say again, Dubai specifically is definitely not for everybody, but if you are an ambitious, maybe even young entrepreneur who's running some sort of online business and you're maybe in your 20s, 30s or 40s, right? You're looking for a secondary country where you could base your center of living. I think it's definitely an option worth checking out. If you want to discuss this idea of relocating to Dubai, opening a business here, getting residency here, and lowering your taxes, and you want some help with that, then feel free to go to the first link in the description down below to Peak Zone, where you can book in a quick free consultation call with me, where we can see whether this would be the right move for you or not, and how we could help you to successfully execute this move in under 30 days without all of the nightmares that personally I had to go through, for example, when I was getting set up here. I know that as an entrepreneur, you probably value time, and that's exactly what we can save you. So hope you enjoyed this video, hope you found it insightful, and I will see you in the next one.